Which digit from the number below is in the hundred thousands place? So here's the number right here. Which digit's in the hundred thousands place? Is it A, B, C, or D? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So on screen, I have a table here, and the table here shows which numbers are in which place. So the correct answer here is 9. 9 is in the hundred thousands place. And if you want to, you can pause the video and take all the time you need to review the table here, and whenever you're ready, we'll go on to the next question. Which digit from the number below is in the thousandths place? Is it A, B, C, or D? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So the table on screen shows which number is in which place, and the answer here is 8. So when we look to the right of this decimal, we see that 1 is in the tenths place, 9 is in the hundredths place, and 8 is in the thousandths place. So if you want to, you can pause the video and review the table for as long as you want to, and if not, that's fine too, whatever works for you, and then whenever you're ready, we'll go to the next question. At Tommy's retail store, a team of 24 employees work during the first shift. During the second shift, the team is 1/4 the size of the first shift. Assuming all workers are present, how many workers are there during the second shift? Is the answer A, B, C, or D? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so basically what we want to do here is we want to take the number of employees working during the first shift, which is 24, and we're going to multiply it by the fraction 1/4. So we're going to do 24 times 1/4. Now another way to look at this is 24 divided by 4. And the answer here is D, 6. Which of the following is false? Is the answer A, B, C, or D? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So the correct answer here is C. Now why is C false? Well, 0.3 equals 30%. So this one is false because 0.3 equals 30%. So if you look at answer choices A and B, we see that these are both correct. 0.2 equals 20% and 0.02 equals 2%. So again, C is false here because 0.3 equals 30%. Now, what is equal to 3%? 0.03 equals 3%. Please choose the answer that correctly shows 99.784 rounded to the nearest tenth. Is the answer A, B, C, or D? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so how do we round to the nearest tenth? Well, what we have to do is find the number that's in the tenths place to start off here. So the number that's in the tenths place is 7. So we want to look at the number to the right of the 7. If it's less than 5, we round down. If it's 5 or greater, we round up. So we see here that we have 8, so we're going to round up. So what does that mean? I'm going to come to the 7 and I'm going to bump it up to an 8. And I'm just going to put a 0 beside it. So let me show you what I mean. So I had 99.784, and to round it up, I'm going to take this 7 and I'm going to bump it up to an 8, and I'm just going to stick a 0 right here and we're done. So the answer here is B, 99.80. What is 34% of 80? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, then whenever you're ready, just unpause it and we'll talk about it. So the fastest way to do this is to recognize that 34% as a decimal is 0.34, and then you would do 0.34 times 80 to get the answer. So that's one way to do this. And another way to do it is to use this formula here. And it's up to you to decide for yourself if you want to use this formula or if you want to just recognize that 34% is 0.34. But if you were to use this formula, what you would do is you would set it up so that you're going to plug 34 into the formula in place of percent. So you would have 34 over 100. So what are we going to put in for the part and what are we going to put in for the whole here? Well, the part is always going to be the smaller number than the whole. So if you're not sure if 80 is the part or the whole, you can look at the answer choices here and you can see that each number is smaller than 80. And so we know that the whole is always going to be the bigger number. So I'm going to put 80 down here for whole. And we don't know what the part is. That's what we're trying to figure out. So I'm going to put an x in here. So now we would just solve this for x. So basically the way you would do that is you'd multiply by 80 on both sides. And when I do that, the 80s cancel out over here. And in the calculator, if I do 34 times 80 divided by 100, I'm going to get b. Okay, so this is just another way to look at this. If this way doesn't work for you, totally fine. I'm just trying to give you more tools and then let you decide how you want to approach a question like this, should this come up on the test. Now, let me show you one more way to do this here. So there's another formula, and this formula, I'm just going to write it out here. So it's is over of equals percent over 100. And by the way, if you want to use either of these formulas, you'll want to memorize it for the test. So this one here, it's is over of equals percent over 100. So we're going to plug some numbers in here. And how do we do that? Well, we know that we've got 34% right here. So in place of this percent sign, I'm just going to put 34. And I'm just going to leave the 100 as it is. So in the formula, I've got is over of. So I see here the word of with this 80 here, right? It says, what is 34% of 80? So I'm going to plug 80 into the formula in place of the word of. And since it's asking us what is, I'm going to put x in here for is, because we don't know what is. So I set this up the same way now as we just did with the other formula. X over 80 equals 34 over 100. And again, I would multiply by 80 on both sides, and that's going to get me b. So at the end of the day, if you can recognize that 34% is equal to 0.34 and just do 0.34 times 80, that's going to be the fast way to get the answer. But there's also two formulas you can use. And if these formulas just got you more confused, if you can just remember how to convert a percent into a decimal and just multiply it like this, that's probably going to be the fastest option. I just wanted to show you different tools here. Ryan made a list of stores that he used to enjoy visiting and the number of times he visited them. What is the mean number of times Ryan visited each store? So in this case, we don't have multiple choice answers. It says, please write your answer in the box below. And obviously you can't really write your answer in the box through the screen. So maybe you could write it down on a piece of paper or put it in your phone, however you want to do it. But let me give you a chance now, if you'd like to pause the video, try to answer the question. If you get stuck or aren't sure how to do it, absolutely no worries, because whenever you unpause the video, we'll talk about it. Okay, so how do we find the mean? So the mean just means the average. So if I asked you, what is the average number of times Ryan visited each store? It's the same as if I asked you, what is the mean? So how do we find the mean? Well, what we want to do is add up all of the numbers, and then we're going to count how many numbers we have, and that's what we divide by. So if you're not sure what I mean, let me show you. So I'm just going to take the numbers here one by one, 8, then I'm going to do 7, then I'm going to add 5, then I'm going to add 9, then I'm going to add 6. So if you add these up, 8 plus 7 plus 5 plus 9 plus 6, we get 35. So we add these up and we get 35. And so next what I want to do is count up the numbers, the total number of numbers that we have, and that's what I divide by. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 different numbers here, so that's what we divide by. Now 35 divided by 5 is 7. So again, just to recap, to find the mean, you want to add up all of the numbers in the number set, and then you're going to count up how many numbers you have, and that's what you divide by. And in this case, the answer is 7. Now, when I was growing up, we actually never had a Blockbuster by us where I grew up. We definitely had video stores near us, though, just not a Blockbuster. And to kind of recapture that same vibe of going to the video store, sometimes I'll take my daughter, who's almost 4 now, we'll just go to the library and just check out DVDs, and that kind of recaptures some of that vibe. Bring them home, put them in the PlayStation, watch it. It's a good time, and I'll let you get on to the next question now. This video's first champion shoutout goes out to a test taker who says, I failed my RLA test 3 times, but on January 19th I did my RLA, my final test, which was my 4th time, and I passed with a score of 150. And I wanted to share this story here because this is an example of a test taker who had 3 setbacks with the RLA section, but then finally got it on the 4th time. And sometimes it just takes multiple tries, but I really do believe that anyone watching this right now, if you're willing to just stick with it and persevere long enough, no matter how hard it seems, no matter how hard your studying gets, if you just stick with it long enough, I really believe that you're going to pass and you're going to have the test behind you. And the next shout out that I want to share here goes to a test taker who said, I just wanted to say after 10 plus years of wanting to get my GED, I finally took the leap, scheduled the test, and passed on the 13th of this year. So I want to give a big congratulations to both of these test takers here. And again, anyone who's watching this right now, I really do believe that if you persevere long enough, you'll be done too. I know that it's hard. I know that you'd rather be doing something else. I know that there might be days that are very frustrating, but I really do believe in you and I really am cheering for you. If Donna borrows $1,245 for 10 months at 8% interest, what is the interest on the loan? Now, just to save you some time since we're just practicing, I took the formula for simple interest and I put it up here on the screen. It's I equals PRT. I is the interest, P is the principal, R is the rate, T is the time. And you don't have to memorize this formula for your test. They'll give it to you on the formula sheet that you'll get when you go in to take the test. And if you're not sure what this formula means or how to use it, don't worry because I'm going to explain it when we go over the question. But anyway, let me give you a chance to pause the video now if you'd like to. Try the question out, and when you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. P stands for principal, which is the amount someone invests or borrows. R stands for rate. Now, we want to write rate as a decimal. And T stands for time, and we want to write time as a fraction of a year. Now, if you're not sure what I mean by this, don't worry because I'm just going to go over it now. So, basically, what we want to find here is the interest on the loan. So, we want to find I. So, let's plug the numbers that we have in. So, we've got 3 numbers here. We've got 1,245, 10 months, and 8% interest. So we know that the principal is the amount that somebody invests or borrows. So in this case, Donna's borrowing $1,245. So that's what goes in here for P. 1,245. So what do we put in for rate? Well, for rate, remember, we want to write the rate as our decimal. So as a decimal. So 8% as a decimal is 0.08. So for R, I'm going to plug in 0.08. So remember, we want to write the rate as a decimal. Now, what about T? Well, we see that we have 10 months here, and the key is to write 10 months as a fraction of a year. So what does that mean? Well, how many months are there in a year? There's 12 months in a year. So I take 10 and I put it over 12. So in the calculator, if we do 1,245 times 0.08 times 10 over 12, what do we get? I actually don't know because I'm doing the math right now in my phone calculator. So let's see here what I get. I get 83, and C, 83 is the correct answer. So the key here is just to understand how to set this up. If Chris borrows 1,530 for 8 months at 14% interest, how much will he pay back at the end of the loan period? Is the answer A, B, C, or D? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So let's use the formula for simple interest here to guide us. And of course, you won't have to memorize this for your test. It will be on the formula sheet that they'll give you when you go to take the test. But anyway, the principal here is 1,530. So it says if Chris borrows 1,530, and that's the principal here. So what about the rate? Well, it says 14% interest, and we want to write the rate as a decimal. So 14% as a decimal is 0.14. So again, for simple interest questions like this one, we want to write the rate as a decimal. So now what about time? Well, we see that we've got 8 months here, and the key is that we want to write the time as a fraction of a year. We want to write the time as a fraction of a year. We want to write the time as a fraction of a year, And we know that there are 12 months in a year, so we do 8 over 12. So again, what we want to do is write the rate as a decimal, and we want to write the time as a fraction of a year. I get 142.8. Now, 142.8 actually isn't the final answer here, and there's one more step because it's asking how much will he pay back. So to get the final answer, we have to go back to the principal, which was 1,530, and we're going to add 142.8, and that's going to bring us home for the final answer. Now, this is something that I need to remind myself to do because one time, this was back in 2019, I was filming a math practice test video, and I just made a focus mistake, and it was something similar to this, and I did the first step here. I calculated the interest, and I basically just said, hey, this is the answer, and I moved on to the next question, and it was just a focus mistake I made, and I put it up on YouTube, and of course, people let me know down in the comments that I forgot to do the final step, so I don't want to repeat that mistake today. So 1,672.8 is the final answer here. So the correct answer here is A. Please match the equations to the solutions. So now's your chance, if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll go over it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take each equation and I'm going to work each one by one here, and starting with x over 4 equals 10. So what we have to do is figure out the value of the variable. Now, a variable is just another word for something that we don't know. It's a word for an unknown. And we are going to represent a variable with a letter. So the variable is x here. So we've got x over 4 equals 10. Now, the name of the game is to get the x by itself on one side of the equation. So how do we do that? Well, we've got x over 4. So that's x divided by 4. So we want to do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. So if I multiply by 4 over here, the 4's cancel out because 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times x is just x. But whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side as well. So at the end of the day here, we see that x equals 40. So again, if we just back up here, we had x over 4 equals 10. Now, we wanted to get the x by itself. We saw that it was x divided by 4, so we multiplied by 4 on both sides, and that got us the answer, which is 40. So let me clear this out of the way here so I've got room for the next one, and I'm going to put 40 in the box here. So next, we've got x minus 50 equals 12. So the name of the game here again is to get the x by itself. Now here I see x minus 50. So to get rid of the 50, in order to leave the x by itself, I have to do the opposite of minus, which is plus. So if I add 50, the 50 cancels out, but whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side as well. So if I do 12 plus 50, I get the answer, and that's 62. So let me clear this out of the way here, and we'll just do a quick recap. So the speed run recap, x minus 50 equals 12. We saw that we had minus, so we added 50 to both sides. That's how we got the answer of 62. So now we have x plus 15 equals 20. And it's the same idea kind of as the last one, but this time we've got a plus instead of a minus. So if I have x plus 15 equals 20, and I want to get the x by itself, I have to do the opposite of plus, and that's minus. So I want to subtract 15 on both sides. Now, 20 minus 15 is 5. So the correct answer to this one is 5. So again, let me do a speed run recap. We had x plus 15 equals 20. We subtracted 15 from both sides. That gave us 5. Now, we pretty much already know that the answer to the last one is 10 because that's the only one that we didn't use. But let's break it down here. So we have 20 times x. So whenever you see a number with a variable beside it like this, 20x, that just means 20 times x. So we have 20 times x equals 200. So to get the x by itself, we have to do the opposite of times, which is division. So we're going to divide by 20 on both sides. And 200 divided by 20 is 10. Kara used to pay $1,250 a month for rent before moving to a new apartment. At her new apartment, she pays $1,100 a month. By what percent did Kara's rent decrease? Now is your chance if you'd like to pause the video, give this one a shot, take all the time you need, and whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so the way that we solve this question, the first step here is we're going to subtract. So she used to pay $1,250 a month, and we're going to subtract 1,100 from this, and that gives us 150. So the final step after this to finish us out is we're going to take that 150, which we got by subtracting the difference. So the difference between what she used to pay and what she pays now is $150, and we're going to do 150 divided by 1,250. Now, in a calculator, this will give you 0.12, which is 12%. So again, we found the difference between what she used to pay and what she pays now, which was 150. Then we went back to what she used to pay, and we did 150 divided by 1,250, and we know that that's 0.12 or 12%. If the area of a square is 64 square meters, what is the length of one side of the square? Is it A, B, C, or D? And since we're practicing right now to save you some time, I put the formulas for squares right here, and I'll leave it up to you to decide if you need to use both of them or just one to answer the question. But I just wanted to give these to you since we're just practicing. But on the real test, if you get a question on squares, you'll want to go to the formula sheet and pick out the formula or formulas you need to answer the question. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video. Try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and if you get stuck or aren't sure how to do it, absolutely no worries because we're just going to go over it. Okay, so let's talk about this question here. So we know that the area of the square is 64 square meters, and we want to find the length of one side of the square. So we know here that 64 equals A. And we also know that S squared equals A. So we know that 64 equals S squared. So again, we know here that the area is 64, and we know that the area equals S squared. So we know that 64 equals S squared. Now, the real question is how do we get S, right? So we want to get the S by itself here. That's going to give us the answer, because right now we have S squared. And we don't want S squared, we just want S, right? Because we're asked what is the length of one side of the square. Now, a really common mistake here would be to think that to get the S, what you have to do is square 64. Now, if you thought that this is what you had to do, absolutely no worries. That's a really common mistake. Actually, this is one of the most common mistakes I've seen. But what we really want to do is take the square root. And I'm just pointing this out because if you get a question like this on your test or get a scenario like this on your test, I want you to fully maximize your score. So what we want to do here is take the square root of both sides. So the square root of S squared is just S. And the square root of 64 is 8. So the correct answer here is D, 8. If the length of a rectangle equals 20 meters and the width equals 5 meters, please calculate both the area and perimeter of the rectangle and write your answers in the box below. Now, since we're just practicing, I put the formulas right here. This is area equals length times width, and perimeter equals 2L plus 2W. But just know, as always, that on the real test, if you get a question like this, you'll want to go to the formula sheet that they'll give you, and you'll want to pick out the formulas. I'm just providing them here for the sake of time since we're just practicing. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video. Try this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll go over it. Okay, so let's do the area calculation first. So we know that the area equals length times width, and we know that the length is 20. And we also know that the width is 5. So I'm going to do 20 times 5, and that equals 100. So for the first part here, for the area, we know that that equals 100. So now let's do the perimeter calculation here. So we know that the length is 20. So I'm going to do 2 times 20, and then I'm going to add 2 times W. So what is W? W is 5, right? So I'll put the 5 in here. So 2 times 20 is 40, and then 2 times 5 is 10. So 40 plus 10 equals 50. And the answer here for perimeter is 50. So the area is 100 and the perimeter is 50.
Do you have any math tips, Tommy? Okay, thanks anyway.
The triangle below has 3 interior angles. How many degrees does the missing angle measure? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, then whenever you're ready just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. The key to getting this right is knowing that the interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Again, the interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. The interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Now, because the interior angles of a triangle add to 180 degrees, I can write an equation here that's going to help us get the question right. So we can do 35 plus 75 plus x. And the reason that I'm putting plus x here is because we don't know what this angle measures, so I just put an x here. And I set this up 35 plus 75 plus x, and what does this all equal? Well, it equals 180. And again, the 180 comes from the fact that the interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we need to keep in mind here that the interior angles add up to 180 degrees, and that's really the key to answering the question. Now, we're going to start by doing 35 plus 75. And the reason we want to do this is because we want to get the x by itself. So 35 plus 75 is 110. So when I add these two numbers up and I rewrite it, I'll have 110 plus x equals 180. And again, we have this 180 because the interior angles of a triangle add to 180 degrees. So we have 110 plus x equals 180, and what I want to do is subtract 110 from both sides. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to get the x by itself, and when I do that, I'll have the answer. So what is 180 minus 110? 180 minus 110 is 70. So the answer here is 70, and we can check our work by taking the 3 interior angles and adding them up here. So we could do 35 plus 70 plus 75, and if 70 is the right answer here, these will add to 180. So 35 plus 70 plus 75, if you check it in a calculator, it does equal 180. So 70 is the correct answer here. And again, the key to getting this right is knowing that the interior angles of the triangle add to 180 degrees. So just remember, if you get a question like this, that the interior angles of the triangle add to 180 degrees. And from there, we knew that, and then we set up the equation here, and we solved it for x. In other words, we got x by itself on one side of the equation, and that's how we got the answer right. And I know that for the math section, there's a lot of stuff to know and a lot of stuff to remember, so that's why I'm repeating this over and over again, because when you go into your test, I really want you to do well on it. I want you to succeed, and I want you to get the math test done and be able to put it behind you and move ahead. And if you go in there and you get a question like this, hopefully you'll remember that the interior angles add to 180 degrees, and you can set up the equation, solve it for that variable, and get the answer. So that's why I keep repeating myself. I know I'm probably driving you crazy, but I just really want to make the point that the interior angles of the triangle add to 180 degrees. And if you get a question like this on your test, hopefully you'll see it and you'll remember what to do. In my opinion, the one that we're going to go over next is the hardest question in the video. And if you disagree and you think a different question was harder, if you want to, please let me know down below in the comments. So without further ado, let's get into this video's Champions Challenge question. For which value or values of x is the function f of x undefined if f of x equals x squared minus 15x plus 2 over 24 plus 2x? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Now, the way that questions like this are worded can make the question seem really complicated and really confusing, but the strategy to getting this question right is actually straightforward, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So if you see a question like this, what you need to do is take what's in the bottom of the fraction, so in this case we have 24 plus 2x, and set it equal to 0, and solve for x, and that's all you have to do. So again, for a question like this, what we want to focus on is the bottom of the fraction, the denominator. So the denominator is what we call the bottom part of the fraction. So here we have 24 plus 2x. So I'm going to set it equal to 0, and I'm going to try to get the x by itself on one side of the equation. And that's going to give me the answer. So that's all you have to do to get the answer right here for this one. So what I'm going to do to start this off is subtract 24 from both sides. So when I do that, I rewrite. I have 2x equals negative 24. So now I want to divide by 2 on both sides. So I divide by 2 on both sides, and I see that x equals negative 12. And if I want to see if this is the right answer or not, what I have to do is take this 24 plus 2x and plug negative 12 in for x and see if it gives me 0. If it gives me 0, then we have the right answer. So 24 plus 2 times negative 12. In a calculator, this gives us 0. And that's how we know that B is the right answer. So why does this make sense? Well, in math, you can never divide by 0. And if you have a calculator nearby, if you want to, you can take any number you want and try to divide by 0 in the calculator and see what happens. So the idea here is that we want to see which value of x gives us a 0 in the denominator. So again, the strategy here was to take the denominator and we set it equal to 0, we solve for x, and that gave us the right answer.